So in some of the folklore, Slavic folklore, there's an important concept called the crossroads. The crossroads can literally mean standing at a crossroad. But you can think of it as basically any place where one path becomes two or three or more, or vice versa, where you have things either diverging or uniting, coming into from two or three into one. Crossroad is sort of a metaphor, a symbol for a place of meeting between the various realms, between, if you think of it as sort of like the tree of life metaphor, the upper realm, the middle realm, and the lower realm, or basically between the seen and the unseen realms. It can be also a meeting place within the self, if you think of it as a meeting place between mind and emotions, body, energy, spirit. So we can also have crossroads in time. It's where one season meets another season. So we just passed by Stretanya, which is basically, well, it's not just a day, it's sort of a period of time where the spirit of winter encounters the spirit of spring for the first time. So it's a crossroad. And actually, if you think of the wheel of the year, the equinoxes and the solstices form sort of a plus sign that's like the cardinal directions. And then the meeting places between the seasons, where one season is kind of intersecting another season, that's the cross quarters, or if you want to think of it as, we call it the Earth cross, this one we would call the solar cross, this would be the Earth cross. So crosses are really powerful symbols, representations, or crossroads is what I meant to say. So I want to teach you a stitch. This is a stitch that actually involves two crossroads. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this well enough, so I'll bring it up as close as I can without it getting too blurry. You'll see that there are stitches along the border. This stitch, what you're easily able to see is the side that's showing up on the fabric that has the eco print on it. You'll see that there's a little cross.
The dryer is finished running.
Excuse the dryer in the background. But there's also another little cross just at the base that's a little bit off this fabric, and it's onto the white fabric, harder to see. We continually crisscross at the top and at the bottom of the stitch. You know when we make that stitch, you actually have to point your needle backward toward you. Even though you're traveling in this direction, your needle points back toward you in order to travel. So as I insert my needle into the fabric, it's pointing toward me. I'm going to make a little tiny stitch, pull my needle through, and make one arm. Then I cross the thread over and repeat that backward step on the bottom. Pull the thread through, cross the thread over again, and repeat. So I'm making an X at the top and at the bottom. Why that's really important in this conversation, why learning that stitch can be really potent, is that when you are doing stitch work and imparting intention and prayers into your work and binding them to what you're creating, you can amplify, potentize that prayer by working with the idea of crossroads, and by visualizing that each time you're creating a crossroad, each time you're creating an X, you're literally bringing the prayers that are in the etheric realm into the physical manifestation. That's the kind of potentization that you can do with your stitch work. So I'm going to repeat how we do the stitch. You have your thread, it's already emerged through. Cross it in the direction that you want it to lay on your fabric. Place your needle into the fabric at the appropriate spot. Point the needle toward you. Make a little stitch. Pull the needle through. One arm. Take your thread, lay it now in the other direction. Place your needle into the fabric, point toward you, make a little stitch, pull it through. The next time you make your next stitch, you'll create an X at the bottom. When I'm making the stitch at the top, the X, the crossroad, will be obvious. And just continue to repeat over and over and over again. And by the way, yes, where your thread lays as you pull your needle actually makes a difference. Otherwise, you're going to end up with something that looks like a warped Y instead of an X. Sorry, now I'm all tangled because I'm paying attention to what I'm saying and not what I'm doing. There we go. So when my thread goes across, I'm laying it where I need it to be, but my needle is going to be closest to me as it goes into the fabric, and my thread is on the furthest away from me part of the needle. That way you don't end up with a distorted Y, you end up with an X. Enjoy, practice, have fun. So I thought I'd try and do a close-up of the stitch work because I know you can't see it otherwise, and I'll just add this on to my video. So the double cross stitch. Here's where my thread has emerged. I'm making my first line by laying out my thread. And then I shall take the tip of the needle, put it into the fabric, just underneath the line, and make a very small stitch, pointing the needle. In this case, I'm pointing it away from me because I'm trying to demonstrate. Now I'm going to take the thread, cross it over. You see that there's a little X right here. Now I know the direction for my next stitch, and I know the approximate size that I would like this to be. I'm going to place my needle just underneath the thread. Don't catch the thread, just underneath the thread. Make a little stitch. Again, I'm pointing the needle away from me. Pull it through. And repeat. Now you see when I make my next stitch, what I want to do is have it parallel to the very first one that I made. So I lay my thread out parallel, place my needle in, make a small stitch, pull the thread through, cross. So now I have a little crossroads here, little crossroads here, made another crossroad, and I keep repeating. So even though right now my stitches are traveling toward me, my needle is pointing away. If I was going to make my stitches in the other direction, my needle would point toward me, but I'd be walking my stitches opposite. So So I'm always doing a little, what's called a back stitch, when I go to make the crossroad. That's a back stitch. It just means that I'm stitching away from the direction that the stitches are traveling. Little crossroad, crossroad, crossroad. So there's always a crossroad at the top and at the bottom. I hope that makes more sense now.